Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you the comps that I've personally been using on 11.4 to gain LP and, what I've just been using, what I found to work. So let's just get right into it. All right, first comp we're going to be doing is going to be a 3-Slayer comp, CC and beat that. Yeah, you feel me. Going to be some Slayers and Vanguards, the Olaf carry, with Tryndamere as a secondary carry. So whenever you play this build, you want to look for a lot of swords early. If you want to force this build, swords are pretty contested, so you could just lose streak early to get more swords. But if you just get the first sword of the game, then you natural swords on your first couple PvE rounds, then it'll be a lot easier to move into this build. But it requires a lot of swords. Runeans is the most important item for Olaf, and then after that, you just want a damage plus a tank item, or GA is great as well. Swain and Aatrox can be a decent third carry if you get good items for them, or Lee, if you get your blue buff, can be a really decent third carry for your build. If you're playing this, focus more on Olaf items. Focus on getting that Runeans, because if you eventually just run Tryndamere as primary carry, I don't think it's quite as good, but Tryndamere items are a lot more flexible than Olaf items are, so but it's not very hard to get one bow. So just focus on getting swords, and then if you get a chance to build your Runeans, so you just natural bow, try to save that bow for Runeans for the opportunity to play Olaf, because if you end up building Runeans and you end up playing Tryndamere as primary carry, Tryndamere can use that item just fine as well. So focus on swords, and then try to get your Runeans. We play, we're going to be playing Aatrox and Sejuani, because you just want to CC, because this build doesn't have much CC in it naturally, so it's really good to have those instead of like Mystics. We toss in a Zillion here if you can just get it. It gives you Cultist for free if you're running Pike as your other Slayer. Alternatively, you can just play this same build, but you're playing Samira carry. Build will look a little bit differently because you have to get a Sharpshooter in there instead of Zillion. So you just slot out Pike for Samira and Zillion for for Sivir or something like that, and then you can have a build set up for Samira, and that's fine like that. Anyways, that's that. All right, Kayle Divine Adepts. So usually you go for this build if you get a lot of bows or you get a lot of aura items. Important things in here is Kayle is kind of paper without 4 divine, so at least from my experience, they nerfed 2 divine into the ground. 4 divine is really nice in this build. That's why it works really well. Kayle Divine Adepts. The chosen that I put on here was a divine chosen. Was a divine chosen, but you can obviously play executioner chosen, adept chosen. It doesn't really matter. Xayah is the least important unit in this build. You don't have to have 3 executioners. A lot of times it's bait. You can just play a random 2-star legendary in this build, or just you can fit in siphoners a lot of times, especially if you get like a frontliner chosen or something like that. You can fit in siphoners a lot of time. Siphoners is really nice, especially if you're not hitting Yone and then you just put in an Azus and this, or maybe you put in Morgana. This is Morgana, and you can't get Yone, or you can't get Yone 2-star. You just play like Morgana Swain or Morgana Doge is fine as well. Yeah, Siphoner feels really, really nice on Kayle. If you notice, I don't have Rageblade on Kayle right here. Rageblade is a great item on Kayle, but from my personal experience, I prefer if I can get these 2 aura items, maybe I get double Chalice or double Zeeks and a Chalice, then I don't mind missing the Rageblade and just having the Hodge for healing and damage. Really, I just like the RFC. Kayle items are actually kind of flexible. You could just have QSS, RFC, Rageblade, or you could have not QSS, just have GA, RFC, Rageblade, or you could just have GA, RFC, Hodge, or GA, Hodge, Rageblade. Her items are pretty flexible, but I think it's pretty important to get these aura items, and it's tough running this build without the aura items. I don't think she deals enough damage quick enough. Also, the aura items gives Kindred a pretty good solid secondary carry status. Sometimes you get her 2-star. If you get her 3-star, she can actually do a lot of damage. Xayah is the least important unit in this build, I think. The only time that Xayah is pretty good in this build is if you can get some really nice items. Like maybe you have a lot of swords, then Xayah can be a really good secondary or third carry in this build. But just, you don't have to play Xayah. But 4 Executioner is good if you get Executioner chosen. Cool. This is 6-Slayer. It's going to be the 6-Slayer Olaf Trend carry build. I don't see a lot of players play this, and a lot of people have a big negative opinion of Slayers. Honestly, I think they just haven't tried it enough. This build has gotten buffed a lot. I don't ever try to play this build on purpose. If I'm wanting to play Slayers, I normally try to play this 3-Slayer version up here. But a lot of times if you're rolling down on 7 because you're losing and you have one Olaf, you have really good Olaf items, but you know you're not going to be able to 2-star on that stage. And maybe you have Tryndamere with some good Tryndamere items, and you have a 2-star Pike, and you have a Zed on your bench, and then you just get a random Slayer Darius chosen, or maybe you have a Darius your own bench, you just get a random Slayer chosen. I'll nab that up, and when this comp is fully upgraded, like fully 2-starred, it doesn't matter that you don't have these like Dragon Soul, or you don't have these other like utility synergies, because your Olaf and Tryndamere will just one tap at the beginning of the fight, and then halfway through the fight, or after about 8 seconds or so, your Vanguards will CC, and you'll kill the rest of the units. Is from my experience. And actually, when you have 6 Slayer, Darius, especially just with no items, Darius will randomly like out damage your Tryndamere with full damage items, or out damage your Olaf, or not out damage your Olaf, but he'll randomly just be second in damage with 4K, just if the fight lines up really well for him. And it works out really well because Tryndamere spins on the front line, chips him down, Olaf's damage comes out slow, and then Darius' damage comes out fast. So it works out really well. Alternatively, you can put the carry items on Samira instead of Tryndamere or Olaf. That works out fine too. I've played this exact build, but with Samira carry. It just looks a little different because you have to put a sharpshooter in here. So you'd have to drop one of your Vanguards, or drop Lee to put in the unit down there. So it looks a little bit different, but 6 Slayers can definitely work. I don't ever play it on purpose, but I first placed with this build quite a bit, or top 2'd with this build quite a bit. All right, the battle time, whoop whoop. So this is the Fabled Neeko build. So you can take any Fabled, Vanguard, or Mystic Chosen when you're doing your level 7 roll down. I just got done playing a game where I played Mystic Yuumi Chosen, and I top 2'd, and it was great. You're going to want to roll for 7 on this build. You're going to want to kind of, especially if you're making a transition, roll kind of hard until you can hit 2 stars, a lot of 2 stars, and get your Fabled online. Getting your Fabled online as quick as possible is very important. The difference between not having the Fabled synergy and having the Fabled synergy is really big. So even if you don't get Fabled chosen, just got to make sure you roll until you get your Cho'Gath. Unless you have a lot of health to deal with, then it's fine. But the thing was, when you play this build, there's a lot of RNG in this build. So it's kind of more than other builds. So it's kind of tough to play this build from behind. So even if you have a lot of health, sometimes you want to roll pretty heavy on stage 4, just to get your build a little online. It's online and will be really strong on stage 4 and decently strong on stage 5 at 2-star. And then in order to top 2 with this build, you typically need to have 3-star Neeko and 3-star Nautilus, or at least the 3-star Neeko is usually what you need to first place with this build. But I've top 2'd with just 3-star Nautilus before, so that can work out fine. You can end up playing 6 Vanguards. You can play 4 Mystics, 4 Vanguards, 3 Fabled. I just had the Fabled chosen here because this is the most common scenario you run into. Like you get an early Nautilus chosen, or when you're doing your roll down, the first Neeko chosen you see, you take it. So it's a lot of situations. High roll version of this build is if you get a Vanguard spat onto your Neeko is really, 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 really strong. And then you run 6 Vanguards and your Neeko is pretty unkillable. Your items don't matter that much here. You see I have Jeweled Gauntlet, IE, GA. That's like best case scenario other than the situation where you'd get a Vanguard spat. You can play really any AP items. You can even play Giant Slayer or Hodge on her and it's fine too. But really you just want to have either Jeweled Gauntlet or Death Cap. It's going to be your best bet. And then I like having GA. And then having double Chalice on Yuumi is really, really, really awesome. It's really, really great to have aura items on her, especially these ones, because it gives your Neeko damage, and also she'll insta-cast and then cast back to your Neeko to give her attack speed. You can run any legendaries at 8 or 9 if you want to, like doesn't really matter, or you can just play more heavily around Vanguards or Mystics at 8 or 9, but this is what it looks like at level 7. Obviously, Ornn can be anybody, can be Braum, Garen, whatever, until you hit an Ornn. It can be whatever right there. And yeah, that's the Neeko build. Cool. All right, we be spitting. This is 6D Soul build. So 6D Soul has actually been pretty decent this patch. Olaf is the carry. Just fit in 3 Slayers however you can. It doesn't really matter which Slayers they are, but Samira fits in really, really nicely because she can naturally fit in here, because if you run this, that gives her Sharpshooter, and then you just run 2 other Slayers. Boom, bam, boom, Bob's your uncle. I have Aatrox in here with our Braum. Aatrox is just really, really OP. But if you can't get Aatrox and you get Sejuani's great as well. If you want to run Morgana instead of these Vanguards, I personally would recommend that. I think you get a lot of healing off of your off of your Slayers already, and Swain doesn't really need it because your Olaf's gonna be the one carrying. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you just have insane Swain items, and Swain's gonna be your carry. Swain can be a really good carry as well. So yeah. You can run Asol, Swain, Samira, Tryndamere as second carries or as primary carries. I mean, I wouldn't play Tryndamere as primary carry in this build or Samira as primary carry in this build, but you can play any of those as secondary carries if you get just really good items for them. And pro tip, if you get a Gunblade or GAO on Asol and he's 2-star, just frontline him, just put him on either side, and he'll ult across the team, and we'll get that Dragon Soul blessing really early in the fight, and it can be really nice. Be much better than backlining your Asol if you have items to play. If you don't have defensive items that you can frontline your Asol, and he's not really your carry, then it can be best just to have him in the back right there. Cool. I don't ever really look for this build, but if I get a D-Soul chosen, like D-Soul Olaf chosen, or D-Soul Asol chosen, and I already have like Olaf with these items, and I'll take that and I'll play it. And I've actually played this build where I had a Tristana chosen and I was item holding for Olaf, Tristana Dragon Soul chosen, got an item remover, and I just kept the chosen and played Olaf. That's a really easy way to get into it, and it works just fine as well. All right, this is going to be the Talon build. This is pending a bug fix. They're doing a bug fix patch tomorrow, the hot fix. I don't know if Talon is getting bug fixed. I'll leave it in the comments of this video. So this is pending a bug fix. Okay, when you play Talon, the most important things on Talon are IE and GA. IE just ups his damage so much just based off the assassin passive. You end up having to play with like Deathblade or Giant Slayer. It's okay, but you really, really, really want to have IE. So I usually wouldn't even play this build unless I have an IE early, if I slam an IE early game or mid game, or I'll play this build if I get a Janna chosen. I'm just like high rolling the build. I'll play it without an IE, but I normally don't look for this build unless I have an IE. GA is super, super important as well. It can be a big difference between Talon killing every single unit and Talon killing no units and you taking a 20 health loss. So it lowers the variance in this build a lot having a GA. Third item in this meta, Last Whisper is really good because all the Nico builds and a lot of people play Aatrox and Sedge and all that good stuff, and you can get stuck on them for quite a while. So Last Whisper is a really, really nice third item, and then there'll be a random like Elder player sometimes, so Last Whisper can be very, very, very good. But if you can get away with it, another offensive or defensive item is okay depending on the lobby, but I would look for Last Whisper as your third item. I personally really, really, really like Siphoner in this build because Talon deals a lot of damage, so he'll crit with these items. A lot of times he'll crit for like 900 or 1k, and with Siphoner, that's a lot of health given back whenever he crits. So it's kind of like he has half of a BT or almost a BT. So I really like Siphoner in this build, and I try to fit it in if I can. You can run Janna 3 as a carry with blue buff and death cap, or just blue buff is great. You can also run Morgana as a very good secondary carry with Jeweled Gauntlet and Morello. Morello is our most important item, and that's great. You can take any chosen, any Enlightened, Adept, or Talon, Morg, either of their traits chosen, and just kind of like adapt your build for what that is. I have it as Enlightened chosen because that's the most common scenario I run into. Most common scenario I run into, I have like sword items, and then I get a Janna chosen either early on in the game or when I'm rolling on 7, and I have kind of an Enlightened setup already. So that's the most common scenario I run into. But obviously, the better version of this build is if you get like a Adept chosen, or you get a Talon Assassin chosen or something like that. But the most common scenario I run into this is getting Enlightened chosen. It makes it a little awkward because you're going to have 5 Enlightened, but I promise you 6 Enlightened is not worth it. You can run 6 Enlightened until you get your Yone and stuff like that. 6 Enlightened is fine. And then when you push to 9, you can play 6 Enlightened until you start getting 2-star legendaries. 2-star legendaries are almost always going to be better. You can take out Nasus for a Swain 2-star. You lose Divine, but Swain 2-star is nuts. Or you can swap out and take Siphoner out for a legendary 2-star if you really want to. But I think Siphoner is just really important for Morgana, getting a lot of damage off. A lot of times Morgana is the last one left alive, and it kills a lot of units and can win you fights straight up by herself. And then I think it's really good on Talon. So I like to keep Siphoner if I can, and all that good stuff. The builds that are missing from here are Asol builds. I personally don't play a lot of Asol builds. The Elder Asol build is still really good, but I think that's just incredibly high roll. 9D Soul is good. It's incredibly high roll. I would stay away from Warlords. I've played some Warlord games and won them, but they've been pretty high roll. If you're high rolling Katarina items and you're high rolling Katarina and you get good Tryndamere items, stuff like that, Warlords can win. but I personally don't look for it. I don't look for Duelist either. That build can win, but it's pretty high roll, or it's just not very common that that build is going to win. Anyways, those are all my builds here. If you disagree with this, that's fine, but these are the builds I've been personally using, so that's going to be it. Anyways, I'll leave a link in the description below for this Imager post if you want to come back to this, and I'll also, also do that. Whatever, I forget my train of thought, but I stream every day on Twitch. I'll leave a link in the comments and all that good stuff if you want to check it out, you want to watch me play, all that good stuff. Ask me questions. I'm very informative and all that good stuff. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys got value, and I appreciate you guys. And I'll see you on the next video or the next stream. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hey, dude. Bye-bye.